Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a City versus Liverpool opposition fan view. You know how we operate in this channel. When we have a big game coming up, we don't want to give you just City content. We want it to be as objective as possible. We want to get on an opposition fan. And this time we have my very good friend, Sam, big Liverpool fan, also from Dublin, here to give us thoughts. First of all, thanks for your time. And how are you getting on?
I'm not too bad. Thanks very much for having me. Firstly, I think I'd like to say it's great to have a conversation with you, Hugh, that's not in the back of Wetherspoons when we're discussing football, so it's nice to do it over
Oh, you're exposing me. You're exposing me on my own channel. You're not even here in 30 seconds.
Well, it would usually be a screaming match in the back of Wetherspoons, but thankfully it's not today.
We have to be more civilized on YouTube.
Yeah.
We can't be doing that. But anyway, listen, we're here to talk about the two big dogs. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Probably the two best teams in world football right now, Manchester City and Liverpool. We're a point ahead of you in the league right now. You've got a chance to overtake us. You've got a bigger goal difference. You're fighting for quadruple. We're fighting for a treble. I know we said in 2019, 2018, whatever the year was, when we beat you by a point, that was possibly the most exciting Premier League season of all time. I think this could pip it for the fact that we're both going for so many trophies. Would you agree?
I would agree, but I think right now, as of now, it's absolute make or break time. I think to think about it is actually quite scary, and I know the fans and the players are just kind of taking it game by game right now. The whole thing with the quadruple, I think, is more of spoken by journalists and rival fans to kind of set it up, because if we fail in the FA Cup, people are going to be laughing at us, but I don't really know if the FA Cup is in our sights right now. For me, I would take either the league or the Champions League or both, but at least one of them, you know. I don't really I'm not concerned about the quadruple whatsoever. It's game by game, and it's the Premier League and the Champions League for me.
Yeah, I think for the first time ever, I think amongst City fans, it's a case of, maybe I'm not speaking fairly for everybody, I'm not representing everybody fairly here, but I think a lot of people are starting to come to the conclusion that the Champions League is probably priority for us, because we are so desperate to get ahead, or to get our hands on that trophy. You know, we've won so many domestic trophies, but there's no denying that the owners of the club and that the backroom staff and everybody involved are desperate for Pep to get his hands on the Champions League. But talk to me a bit about Liverpool's season so far. Obviously, you got off to a flying start, then we got ahead of you by quite a few points. Did you think the season was over in January, February?
Yeah, I thought it was over. And I think, apart from the most optimistic of Liverpool fans, they probably thought the same. But I think the situation we're in right now is a situation we'll never be in again. And if you had said to me in September that by April we'll be in this position with potential to do the quadruple, with Steven Gerrard's rival Frank Lampard relegating Everton possibly, and Manchester United in the absolute mud, I would have said that you're crazy. But this whole situation is so surreal. That's what I mean. It's just game by game, because even to think about it just gives me butterflies. Like the potential absolute make or break time.
What do you think is different about it this season for Liverpool? I think this is arguably a better Liverpool team than you've had under Klopp yet. I think you've got more firepower now front. You're no longer just relying on, say, Salah, Firmino and Mane. You've brought in Diaz, you've brought in Jota. I'll admit that they're two absolute killers. They break my heart every week now, and they keep getting you 1 and 2-0 wins. But do you think that has contributed to a more resilient team, I suppose? Because to bring the gap down from, what was it, 10 or 11 or 12 points at one stage a couple of weeks ago to now 1 point, and you're the title race is on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason why we got Diaz is to have that kind of squad depth that City have. That's the only way we can compete, because I think in September we simply didn't have enough squad depth to compete, which is why we probably went 12 points behind. But bringing in Diaz is some of the best recruitment I've ever seen at the club. How quickly he's just become one of the stars of the club. I think Diaz could be the reason that we clinched the Champions League or the Premier League.
Yeah, I would agree. But listen, let's talk a bit about that Champions League. You're going for number 7. We're going for number 1. We're on different sides of the draw, and I've got a funny feeling now. I don't like to be too arrogant with these things, but I have a funny feeling all roads are pointing towards a City-Liverpool final in Paris. I mean, how are you feeling about the Champions League, I suppose? Before we get into the deep Premier League talk and this Sunday game, the Champions League, how do you feel?
I think personally speaking, I'd rather see us win the league this year, just because of the fact that we were so far behind in January, and now we're a point within City, and it's very possible. The Champions League in a way looks more likely, because you just have to beat Benfica and Bayern Munich, who are very beatable this season. Bayern Munich, as you can see last night, losing to Villarreal. So like the path to the final is probably one of the easiest we'll have. Now that being said, we need to show up when we play Bayern Munich. But I think a City Liverpool final is very, very possible. But on the other side of it, I'm glad that we don't have to play Real Madrid like he's might in the semi-final, because that was like Benzema's looking scary this season.
Yeah, Benzema's a scary operator. But there is a part of me now. I watched Real Madrid against both PSG and Chelsea now, and I still firmly believe that we would have the beating of them. I'd fancy Ruben Diaz to keep Benzema at least quieter than Chelsea did, and at least quieter than PSG did, and I would fancy our attack force to be more successful. But how would you feel about a City Liverpool final? Because there's so much. It's now become a rivalry, City Liverpool, and it's not like one of those local rivalries. You've got Everton and Liverpool, and you've got United and City and that kind of thing. It's become a footballing rivalry of the two best managers, the two best teams going head to head, and it's a genuine hit out. It's got derby feelings whenever we meet. You know what I mean? When we say form goes out the window, I think that is a huge thing when City play Liverpool. So how do you feel about when you do play against us? Because they've been cracking affairs over the last 5-6 years.
Well, the thing about in a match that's that big, I don't think your form does matter, because our form as of recent hasn't been that great. Like in some performances, I feel like yes, we are scraping the win, and that's what you'd have to do to win Champions League or win the Premier League. But has the actual performance been good enough? I don't think so. So like if we played on Sunday, if we play how we played against Benfica, against City, we should lose that match. So I do think we really need to step that up. And in terms of a City and Liverpool Champions League final, again, it gives me butterflies to think about it, because say if City were to win the league, going into that match, it is absolutely massive to make sure that we don't let City win the Champions League. Then if it's the same if we win the league, that we still have that responsibility to make sure that you don't win the Champions League, because that's all we kind of have over Pep right now, is the fact that Klopp's done the Champions League and Pep hasn't.
Yeah, it is a case of, I know you've won it the most times now in England, haven't you? So it's a case of, for us, it's a case of once we have our first one, whenever that does come, I believe it will happen soon. We have that in the bag. You can't really chat to us. You can say you won more, but we've done it. We've done our European thing. But I want to talk a bit about how City and Liverpool have almost boosted each other in recent years. I'm a firm believer in the theory that City, whilst they've hit amazing heights in recent years, you got the 100-point season, the formidable season, all these domestic trophies, and then you have Liverpool who win their first Premier League in 30-odd years, and Klopp leads them to a Champions League in magnificent fashion. I don't think these two teams hit those exact heights without each other. I think Liverpool having City on their tails at times has pushed Klopp and his team to new heights and to achieve bigger things than they would have without it, and vice versa. I think City don't hit 98 points or whatever it was and win the league in that fashion without Liverpool up their arses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I agree with that, because I think if City didn't have Liverpool and vice versa, you would have that fear of complacency, because you just find this league too easy. Like City would find it too easy without Liverpool, and Liverpool would find it too easy without City. So they have definitely pushed each other to become better teams, and I think that's a good sight for the neutral. Nervous for us, but yeah, like 100%, they wouldn't be where they are without each other, and long may it continue.
I really enjoy it. I must say, obviously, I don't like Liverpool. In fact, they get on my nerves, but it's very much fueled by the fact that they're so good. Do you know what I mean? When I'm watching Liverpool play against the likes of, I don't know, whoever it was, Watford recently, and Brighton, I think it was recently as well, and I'm sitting there crossing my fingers that your opposition will take a point or two off you, and you're not playing particularly well, then you got someone like Jota will stand up and get you a winner. You just gotta go, this is really, really annoying. But yeah, when the two teams play against each other, it is absolutely magnificent. I mean, that game in Anfield back in, was it October, November? I still feel we should have won.
Premier League matches I've ever seen. Like in terms of quality, that was one of the best I've ever watched.
Unbelievable. And there's been so many more as well. There was the 2-1 where we beat you in the Etihad a couple of years ago, where Aguero and Sané scored goals. That was where the John Stones basically stopped you in the league by 0.5 of a millimetre or something. Unbelievable. I still feel we should have won that game back in November. Milner should have been sent off. But that game, surely, it was a perfect example of Premier League football, and just football at its best.
But if you were to look 10 years from now, if you were to watch that game, if you were to watch a game to sum up Liverpool and City and how good they were, like the standard that they set in that game, no teams can compete. Like Chelsea can't even get close to that high of a standard that we played in that match. Like we played so well in that 2-2 draw, and we didn't win, and so did City. Just shows you how high of a standard the teams are.
Yeah, and I think it's put a lot of fear into teams like Chelsea and United, and maybe to a lesser extent Arsenal, who would have aspirations of challenging for the Premier League. But I have seen a number of fans and a number of credible people submit or concede to the idea that clubs like United and Chelsea, who believe they should be challengers for Premier Leagues, will not be able to until Pep and Klopp both leave their respective clubs, because these two managers are on such a level above everybody else. It's just not doable. United can bring in Eric Ten Hag. Chelsea can bring in Thomas Tuchel like they did, and they had their European success, blah, blah, blah. Bring him into a Premier League season, competing with Pep and Klopp. The evidence is now there. Would you agree that I think these two managers are just so far clear? They're on their own level.
No team is going to win the league until the Pep and Klopp era is over. Like I think that's a fact. It's going to be City, Liverpool until Klopp leaves, which I heard is rumoured to be 2024, which makes me so sad, and I hope it's not true, and I hope it extends. But yeah, no, I don't think no one's going to get close to competing. And I fell for the bullshit at the start of the season that whoever beats Chelsea this season are going to win the league. Like, look how quickly they've fallen apart. I think it gives me a bit of comfort knowing that the Klopp and Pep era will go on for the foreseeable future, and it's very interesting to watch. But yeah, no, I don't think anyone can compete with City or Liverpool right now.
There's a part of me, listen, I don't want this to be a big City Liverpool love fest and where, we're kissing each other's arses and that, but you do have to pay respect when the two best teams in the world are coming head to head. And like I was saying, there is a part of me that's kind of like, I don't want Klopp to leave because he makes the league great. He adds to the quality of the league, and he gives us great competition. And the exact same, I don't want Pep to leave. I saw rumours today that Brazil have offered Pep some sort of.
That, yeah.
Yeah, that would. We're going to do a video on that later on in the week, so people keep an eye out for that. It would be heartbreaking. It would be the end of one of those magnificent eras in Premier League football that I don't think people will fully appreciate until it's over. I mean, both these managers play very unique styles of football. Klopp plays his way, fast rock and roll football, lethal in the box and that kind of thing, and then Pep plays this really almost a 2.0 version of what he had with that Barcelona team, very technical, a lot of passing, and you wait for your openings. And this has never been seen before in the Premier League. Klopp won his Premier League using a formation, a style that had never been done before. City have won the league without a striker. That's never been done before. These are absolutely magnificent managers that we probably won't appreciate fully until they're gone.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's right now for me, and I have to remind myself every day to not take this situation for granted. Like, I hope to never think that we'd be back in a situation like United are right now, but there's always that fear of that. So I think every day, as dramatic as it may sound, I'm grateful for Jurgen Klopp being Liverpool's managers day to day, because like this, I don't know if I'll ever experience this good of a Liverpool team ever in my life again. But like, because can it get much better unless we're like turning the Premier League into a Farmers League, which is never really going to happen? Will it ever get better than this? So I think you can't take it for granted at all.
Obviously, for the first 15, 16 years of your life, yes, you won that Champions League in Istanbul, but for the most part, let's be real, Liverpool were fairly crap. You know what I mean? You were.
I was in school for that whole time. I started school in 2005, so it was pretty much just after we won the Champions League. I left school, and when I left school was when we won the Champions League. So I went from ages 5 to 18, and that without a trophy. Maybe we won the Carling Cup in 2011 or whatever. But it was horrible. I got bullied for being a Liverpool fan. United fans, like half my school United fans, they're winning everything. I never got those bragging rights, and yeah, now we finally got them. But yeah, I think I suffered enough to deserve to see how good Liverpool are right now. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I don't enjoy seeing either of United or City or United or Liverpool challenge for trophies, but I suppose it has to be someone. Anyways, let's get on to the main event this weekend. We play each other twice now in the next 2 weeks, so we might even get you on again next week to talk about the FA Cup or do a review of some sort if you fancy it. But let's talk about this game. This is an absolute hit out of enormous stakes. Like I've said already, the two best teams in the world going head to head. We have enough evidence now to back up the point that the match is always a fantastic spectacle. What are your initial thoughts going into this? Both teams are off the back of a win, both in Europe and domestically last.
Well, as I said earlier, if we play how we've been playing recently, I think City beat us. But form should go out the window for this match. It's just everything is on the line. Now I do fear that both teams are going to play it too safe, and it's going to be an anticlimactic draw. But with that being said, I have to be optimistic because every game is a cup final right now. I believe that we can win it.
The draw suits us. The draw suits us fantastically.
But it doesn't decide the league. No.
But it gets that fixture out of the way, and we've not lost any points to you.
But that's what I was saying. I think that the Champions League is more achievable right now because our path to win the Champions League to me looks a lot easier than the path to win the Premier League, because we'd have to more than likely we'd have to beat City, we have to beat United, we have to beat Everton, beat Spurs, who are in really good form now. And I know, obviously, United and Everton aren't in good form, but yeah, don't forget when they play us this season, that's their only cup final. Their only cup final, like this season, completely. Their most important match. Like they're going to be completely up for this. You'll see a different Everton team against us. Now, I still think we'll beat Everton, but it's going to be like the highest standard Everton team you've seen because they're going to be so up for this.
You haven't won in the Etihad, I only found out the other day, since 2015. 7 years it's been since you won in the Etihad Stadium. It seems to be a tough place for you guys to go. Do you take any emotion from that? Any feeling from that?
No, I don't care about statistics. I think it's just to make like the matches more interesting. I always hear these like insane statistics before Liverpool play like teams like Watford and stuff, and I don't pay much attention to it. It's more just to make it interesting for the neutral. But no, I think as I said, this is the cup final for us. So I think we can do it, but we do need to improve how we've been playing recently.
Yeah, there's a part of me kind of goes, Liverpool aren't playing amazing at the minute, so we could we could beat them, or we can beat them, which we always can. But then there's another part of me goes, they're not playing great, but they're still winning every game, which is a cliche thing to say. It's a Champions type of thing to do. Do you know what I mean? But I know it's hard to predict, but how do you see this Sunday's game going? It'll be very different from what we've just had with Atletico, where they sat back and played 5-0.
But I think it won't be anything like. Well, I think it won't be like anything like the 2-2 draw before, because there's a lot more on the line this weekend. So I think naturally both teams are going to play it that small bit safer. Like if you're a player on that pitch, you're now in the back of your head that if I make a mistake here, it can cost the season. So I think that's going to be implemented onto the pitch with the players, and it might be a bit, as I said, it could be a bit of an anticlimactic match. That being said, I'm still buzzing for it, and I'm still going to need a few points in me to watch it because it's going to be nerve-wracking. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be, especially the first few minutes. I don't think it's going to be straight into like shots on target, an open game. It's going to be teams feeling each other out, and that could last for the first half. I hope it's not a draw. I hope it's an interesting match. But of course, if you ask me if I take a draw, I think we need to win this match given how many more big matches we have to play. Like I think even if we win, it doesn't decide the league, and there's no point in celebrating yet because, as I said, we have so many more cup finals to play.
Yeah, I think you need to win this game though, just for a mental barrier to get over and get yourselves back on top of the league and all that kind of thing. But listen, we have to touch on him. He was the main man for you guys in that 2-2 game. He was the deciding factor in getting yourselves a point in that game. Mo Salah contract situation is looking a bit ominous at the minute. He's also not scored from open play in the Premier League since December. How do you feel about him? Because you will want him on fire on Sunday, I'd imagine.
To be honest, I don't really know what the story with Salah is now. I don't think anyone has played more football than him this season at such a high level. I saw a statistic the other day that said that he's played more football for Egypt this year than Firmino has for Liverpool, which is insane. But yeah, like he is struggling for form, and he's had quite an unfortunate season. Apart from winning the Carabao Cup, he was knocked out of AFCON on penalties, didn't qualify for the World Cup on penalties. Like, obviously that would get to a player, but I don't know. Like I'm still waiting to see that comeback from Salah since after Christmas, seeing that comeback game which we saw before Christmas when we were calling him the best player in the world, and I'm hoping it's against City. That's it, really. I want to see a return of the form. Like,
I think if he's on form, any fullback in the world obviously is going to be fearful. But like we spoke about earlier a bit, you've added to your depth in those attacking positions. You no longer have to rely on Salah as much, because I think if you didn't sign Jota and David Luiz, you wouldn't probably be a point behind this, because you have had, particularly Jota has been absolutely sensational in goal scoring for you in recent months. He's really got you out of the mud a few times. What is the ideal front three you would like to see Klopp go with against us on Sunday, bearing in mind Kyle Walker is going to be fresh as a daisy? He didn't play at all in midweek. Cancelo's looking pretty good as well, but we are probably going to be without Ruben Diaz.
I think you should go with Salah, Mane and Jota, and then get Diaz on in the second half just to bring that kind of energy to it. Like, this is a massive game, and Mane and Salah are no stranger to a huge game, so maybe don't start with Diaz, but I definitely think we need to get him on the pitch at some point. As far as big goals, Jota is your man. Like, he could easily have a 5 out of 10 performance and score 2 goals, and that's all he's done all game is score the goals. And apart from that, he doesn't play well. I don't really understand it. I've never seen a footballer like that. You can't complain when he's scoring as many goals as he is. So I think that, and then get Diaz on in the second half if Salah's not doing it, which I hope he is.
Who do you see kind of dictating the flow of the game? Because pattern suggests that we always tend to dictate the play in every team we play against, but it doesn't always seem to be that way whenever we play against you. Klopp seems to be one of the very few managers in Europe, I believe, that really wants to stand up and say, we're not just going to let City play football, if you know what I mean. So how do you feel about Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho, whoever plays in midfield, coming up against our pretty informed midfield at the minute?
I think again, a big game is I want to see Jordan Henderson in that game for two reasons. Main reason being that he's the leader, and second reason being that he's going to be able to perform those big games. Him and Thiago, I think, will be able to weather the storm of City. So I'm feeling quite confident with the whole team, to be honest. I'm not expecting any trouble at the back either, but it's just so hard to predict which way it's going to go. But yeah, no, I don't see a problem with Thiago and Henderson. I think that could easily weather the storm.
Do you think? I think both teams are going to have purple patches throughout this game on Sunday. I think both teams are going to have 15, 20-minute periods where they're putting wave after wave of attack on the other team. But listen, if we were to get a win this Sunday, would you consider that league over? Considering I don't like to say these sort of things, but we don't have a stereotypically harder run than you, if you like.
Yeah, no, our run is very hard, but I think if we lose on Sunday, just keep taking it game by game, because there's a chance that you can lose too. If we completely drop the heads, then yeah, the league is over if the fans and players drop the heads, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much professionalism in the squad and in management. So if we do lose on the weekend, just continue doing what we were doing when we were 12 points behind in January. No one thought we could do it then. So no, I don't think the league is over. It obviously it puts you in a better place, but I don't think the league's over if we lose now.
Because I kind of mentioned that because we know from experience. I don't know when's the last time you were in this position where you're fighting on all four fronts for 4 trophies. I know you've already won the Carabao, but we know it's extremely hard. We've been tipped 2 times in the last 3 or 4 years. People are saying City are going to win the quadruple. I don't think Liverpool have properly been in this position yet, and I don't know will they be able to cope with the pressure of every single game you have to win, because there always is 1 or 2 where you crack up, if you know what I mean.
But I don't know how much of our focus is going to be on that FA Cup.
Do you think Klopp could just put out the kids in the semi-final?
I wouldn't if by then, which is what, 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah, if by then we're still very much so in the title race, and Benfica's finished, I wouldn't mind it. If we finish the season by only winning the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, I'll see that as a failure, given that we had so much potential to do the Champions League, the Premier League. So personally, and I assume I speak on the majority of the fans, that our focus is in either the Champions League and the Premier League, or both. The FA Cup, I don't really mind if we lose in the FA Cup. I don't care that much for winning it, given the situation we're in now. If it was the only thing we could win, yeah, I played the starting team in that. But no, I don't care for it really. Just given the situation right now.
I think Klopp has that sort of mentality as well. There's enough evidence now in recent years to suggest that Klopp isn't. It's not that he doesn't care about them, but he's not overly pushed about the cup competitions.
Even the Carabao Cup, it's not like we set out to win that really at all.
Yeah.
Some of the teams that he put out, you wouldn't know, the kids, do you know what I mean? Very young players came out to play that, and it's almost like he accidentally won it, and then all of a sudden we were in the semi-final and the final, and he was like, might as well just go for this. But it wasn't like Klopp had set out to win the Carabao Cup. In a way, he kind of accidentally won it, and I think as well, we're at this stage of the FA Cup, we kind of just got here. It wasn't like we really, really want to win the FA Cup. As I said, the quadruple isn't really a concern of mine. It's the Champions League and the Premier League.
I mentioned a few players that kind of put a bit of fear into me whenever I think about Liverpool. Like I said, Luis Diaz, Jota, I've got a lot of respect for. He's really had an impact in your team. And of course, Mo Salah, can't rule him out. Who, when you think about the Manchester City team, who frightens you a little bit or scares you for Sunday in terms of you think of them and go, yeah, they could possibly punish us in this area of the pitch, or they could nick a goal, or they could be a game-changing player, if you like.
Well, I always worry about those players. Like Jack Grealish is yet to have that match or that really impactful game, and this Sunday he could win the league. You know what I mean? So there's still that side of it, and also with Jack Grealish, I think there was a statistic of him in his first season in the Premier League was that he's the most fouled player, and you can see why, because he's so tricky. Like, you don't want to be conceding that many set pieces. He is one of those players, and it's like Luis Diaz when they get the ball. How the team are playing doesn't really seem to matter, because this player can do quite magical things with the ball, and that's what I'm saying. The thing about Jack Grealish is, like, he's due a very good game, and I just hope it's not against us.
He's growing nicely, Grealish. He had a fantastic game, I must say. I was there a couple of weeks ago against Man United. We beat them 4-1. He was really, really good. He was probably his best performance in the City shirt. Looked good when he came on against Atletico the other night. Only played 20 minutes, got fouled 5 times. That's priceless. You know what I mean? When you're trying to see out a win, you're trying to see out a result. A player who can come on and dictate the play of the game. And there's a lot of pressure from external people being like, oh, Grealish doesn't contribute enough goals and assists. That's not the role he plays anymore. He doesn't play the same role in City that he played at Aston Villa. Pep gets him to drop deep. Pep gets him to move into midfield, gets him to move all around the pitch, win fouls, and create passes. So I can see why maybe he's a player that would frighten you a little bit, but at the same time, you've got a fantastic right back in Trent.
Yeah. Well, I think Trent is going to retire Liverpool with probably a bigger legacy than Steven Gerrard. Like, we're witnessing absolute greatness now. And just to think how young Trent is, the concerning thing about with Trent is, like, how good can he get? Can someone get that much better? Can he stay like that? Well, I think he can. But when you see some of the passes that Trent's making now, I've never seen it really at all.
Yeah, he's got an unbelievable right foot, Trent. He's a player that I think Pep would love to have at City, but I think he's been.
He can get an assist out of anything. Like, as I said, he's one of those players where it doesn't matter how well the team are playing. Like, one of those balls into the box is just so dangerous.
Yeah, he's a player that I would fear for Laporte and Stones. They're gonna have to have their wits about them, because the balls he's going to be putting over the top when we're attacking and you're on a counter attack for the likes of Salah and Mane, whoever's run up to, is going to be something that we probably don't face very often. We always play against teams that, when they want to counter-attack us, they'll play it through the line and they'll try to just use their pace, whereas Trent has that one killer ball in his locker that can, set off any top-quality attacker. But listen, we could go on all day about this game, and we might get you on again next week for the FA Cup semi-final, and we can talk a bit about however this game goes. But before you go, we want to get your score prediction, and as we always do, give us a prediction as to who's going to get one of the goals. I think this game, I have a feeling, is going to have a lot of goals.
I don't know if it will. I want to say Liverpool will win it, and I think we can. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to have a lot of goals. Now, I could be wrong, but as I said, I think both teams are going to be a bit nervous, and they're going to hold back a bit to make sure they don't make any mistakes. But if I'm going to say Liverpool are going to win, I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1, and I would really like to see a goal from Salah.
Yeah. So you go with 2-1.
And I also think if we do see that Salah back that we saw before Christmas, he'll be the difference, and he'll be the player to win the match.
Yeah, he has that in his locker, Salah, and I think if he gets that goal, the floodgates could open for the rest of the season. You need him to kick into form now, basically, from Mo Salah.
Words cannot describe how much we need him on Sunday, especially given his recent form. Like, he was dreadful against Benfica. When you see Salah get that ball in the corner, and he does. Crystal's had this, like, he's getting past 4 or 5 players now, no problem, but he's just like fumbling it now, and it's like, does he need a rest? And if he does need a rest, this is not a good time. Like, he can rest when he's dead at this point, because this is so important. He's playing like a player who's just tired or who's fed up or something.
That's how we felt about De Bruyne from easily December to about March, probably to about March. He'd come in every so often and have a really good performance, and we all go, he's back, and then he'd look tired again. The international break helped De Bruyne a lot. Recently, he looks fantastic again. Got man of the match through the night. You said 2-1 and a Salah goal. I'm going to go 3-2 City, and I say it every single week. Joe, who's listening to the recording right now, knows exactly who I'm going to tip for a goal. I need this to happen someday. Grealish is going to score. Okay.
I told you I feared it though, and of course it would be against us. But if it's 3-2 to City, I think, like, how old am I? 21 years old. I'll witness my first ever heart attack. Like, Jesus. Then it's one of those matches that you just kind of have to go to the pub for, because otherwise you're just sitting at home putting your head through a wall with nerves. So
I'd love to be on.
I hope it's not a 3-2.
It's just a feeling. I just have a feeling there's going to be goals. I think for some reason, both managers, both sets of players, they're going to go out full of vim, all guns blazing, and want to make a statement. That's just phone going off. That's just my feeling. I'm saying 3-2. You're saying 2-1. I'd love to be going to the pub with you, but I'll be doing a live watch along here on the channel with Joe. So anybody who's watching now and wants to come and join me and Joe on Sunday, come into the chat, give us all your thoughts. Give us all your opinions on how the game is going. It's going to be a nervy one. This is the biggest game of the season by a country mile to date. Sam's saying 2-1. I'm saying 3-2. Give us all your score predictions down below in the comments. We want to know what you think about this game. How are you feeling? Are you nervous? If you're a Liverpool fan, give us your thoughts. If you're a City fan or a neutral, give us all your thoughts. And a massive thanks to Sam for coming on. We're going to leave a link to what's your Instagram maybe down below in the description.
Whatever you're feeling, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks to you for coming on. Just go over and show Sam's Instagram some love. Say you came from the 1894, and we appreciate him coming on. So hopefully a win this weekend. Myself and Joe are going to do more of a city-orientated preview, which will be out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be a shorter video, more condensed thoughts. But once again, thanks to Sam for coming on. We hopefully will see you maybe next week for the FA Cup preview. And leave a like on the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're on the road to 2.5k. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you very soon. Good night and God bless.